everybody, welcome to BrickVault. Today we're taking a look at the Tumbler. This is a custom built MOC by the talented builder Lucas, and the instructions can be found at our web store, brickvault.toys. It helps support us, helps support the builder, and included is a PDF file for the instructions as well as an XML file, which makes it a lot easier for ordering the parts online. Now, the Tumbler is what is considered the best modern Batmobile. In the cinematic universe, it was the Tim Burton directed Batman films that really had a great marriage between the comic book artwork and reality, while the Tumbler from Christopher Nolan's Batman, I believe, did an excellent job at sort of bridging the gap between sort of the really fantastical comic book art style and kind of grounding Batman and all of his gadgets in a more realistic universe. I know over the years, fans certainly have gravitated towards this design. It's probably one of the most recognized versions of the Batmobile, and it's one of the very few vehicles that LEGO has decided to make an Ultimate Collector series set for that is outside of the Star Wars universe. This build by Lucas matches what is probably our most signature style for a lot of the MOCs that we like to put up in the web store, and that is that it is minifig scale. So that means the Batman minifigure standing next to this is the correct size if it was a 6 foot tall person, and just for sort of the heck of it, if the Tumbler had decided to enter into the Battle of Hoth, this is how it would scale next to an AT-AT. On the other side, if you were to take a look at the Rebels, we've got quite a few ships here. They all scale perfectly to each other. And coming around the side, it looks like the Tumbler would be even a little bit smaller than the Phantom sitting in the back. Now, getting into some of the closer details of the Tumbler, the actual details of this particular MOC, it's definitely good to compare this vehicle with some of the screenshots of the actual vehicle from the production of the film. The number one thing to notice or pay attention to, I feel, is the fact that the original Tumbler is in universe sort of this prototype armored tank, sort of a light armored tank. It's got very high-powered armor that's quite thin, and that makes it very fast. It's actually designed to do jumps and sort of bridge gaps, which makes it, of course, perfect for trekking around a city. And mostly, it's good at deflecting shots and not necessarily eating and absorbing really high-powered rounds, but instead just having bullets bounce off. In that sense, all other Batmobiles actually interact with the enemy weapons in the same way, and you can see within the design of the MOC, there's a lot of clipped-on fin pieces, as well as some semi-floating tile pieces that hang off the back, almost like spoilers. Now, another quick comparison that I think will help show you guys just how detailed this little model is to compare it with the playsets that came from LEGO. In the Joker's Ice Cream Surprise, the build is at least twice as big, but you can see the details aren't particularly accurate, and I'd say the proportions are way off, especially when it comes to the wheels. While in the Bat vs. Bane Tumbler Chase set, the size of the vehicle sure might be a bit more accurate, but really the design is super simplified. Now, you can see it especially well in the front, but when moving around the Tumbler, there are actual tile pieces there to represent some of the tinted windows. That is a pretty subtle detail, but I really like that that was included. And yes, there is just a tiny bit of color. It's that little bit of gold, which is there to represent two actually very small little gold circular points. They almost look like maybe even gas intakes. When circling around to the back, you can see the 4 very large tires. And aside from that, not really a whole lot more detailing here. That really is kind of what the Tumbler looks like from the back. The round piece that makes up the jet thruster is pretty accurate, and sort of stepping back from some of the details, this is how well the thing sort of handles when you pick up the model. There are definitely certain places that are more strong and sort of preferred when you pick up the thing. A lot of the little flaps just have a tendency to kind of bend maybe a little bit out of place. So holding it from the front, back, and center will kind of keep those little fins from moving around too much. And there's a lot of flexibility for those Technic arms for the front wheels. Now, the ground clearance is pretty low for this model, but it definitely has no problem rolling around. It's not going to be scraping the floor. And yes, custom builds that look as accurate and as nice as this one certainly are a little bit more delicate than maybe a play set, but I don't want to give you the impression that you can't just casually pick this thing up. I'd say even though the model is built with a high degree of accuracy and really a lot of attention to detail, it's got a more than adequate structural stability for play. When it comes to fitting a minifigure on the inside, technically you can take the roof off and put Batman inside, but I wouldn't call this quite an interior. It's a super tight fit, and that's just kind of how minifig scale models go. The minifigs are much wider than they are tall compared to a person, so when you have a super accurate model like this that's not particularly big, those are just sort of the cards that you're dealt. Now, just in closing, I'd say the detailing for this Tumbler MOC is really a lot of fun. It's probably one of the most repeated MOCs that designers sort of take a stab at. There's a ton of different ways to approach this model, and personally, the thing about Lucas's MOC that I think sticks out a little bit more than the rest is the fact that he uses those clip-on fin pieces that I think imitates the sort of style of armor for the vehicle the most accurately compared to maybe using wedge pieces or other types of bricks. Oh yeah, by the way, it also scales with the rest of his Batmobile MOCs that he's got. You can find the models for these Burton vehicles also in our store. Remember, that is www.brickvault.toys. And thanks a lot for watching, everybody. Remember, if you enjoy our content, you can always like or subscribe. And if there's any other MOCs that you'd like to see us do in the future, maybe add it to the web store, let us know in the comment section below. All right, that's it. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time at BrickVault.